बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी गोपी जन वल्लभ यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी यशोदनंदन व्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरवनचारी Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Jaya Radha Mulidhar Radha Mulidhar Radha Jaya Radha Mulidhar Radha Jaya Gaura Chandra 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Hari Naam Sankirtan ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tado Jaya Nattaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavate Bhagavate Ruttama Shloke
Bhakti Bhavati Naiki.
They are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, the Samamando, no? Chapter 17, the history of Kaliya. So text 4 to 8. So we'll take one verse after the other. Text 4. Vishavirya madavishta kadraveyastu Kaliyaha kadarthi krutya garudam swayam tam bubhuje balim. Translation in purport. Translation. Although the other serpents were dutifully making offerings to Garuda, one serpent, the arrogant Kaliya, son of Kadru, would eat all these offerings before Garuda could claim them. Thus, Kaliya directly defied the carrier of Lord Vishnu. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chikshurinmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guru. So, seek the blessings of Srila Prabhupada, Adipusha Prabhu, all the assembled devotees, so that we can discuss something fruitful for the next 20 minutes. So we are looking at this pastime, the history of Kaliya. And in this verse, something which is like very instructive for our spiritual practices, it is there. So we will look into this. So we can, in the word to word, so there are like 3 things. Visha, Virya, Mada. So Mada means intoxication. In the word it is given, it's intoxication. So why a person gets intoxicated? If anything is excessive, people get intoxicated. In a general sense, intoxication means, people are consuming wine, liquor, or drugs. So that is the crude thing. People are intoxicated. But here in the context, it is Vishavirya. So Kaliya is a person, he's telling, he's got intoxicated. And he's intoxicated by what? He feels that he has a lot of strength. And then what strength? It's poisonous strength. Vishavirya. So he is very much intoxicated. So because of that excessive strength, so the Mada comes, intoxication. And then what happens when that intoxication happens? Generally, we go outside. I mean, we observe any intoxicated person. He doesn't care who is nearby, who is side by. He just roams as if he's in his own world. He doesn't care. So that's what. So in that intoxication, basically he disregards others. He doesn't respect others. He doesn't know who is his friends, who are his enemies, who are his well-wishers. So he loses completely the plot. So this is the natural thing. Like when a person has a lot of strength, and then there is a very good chance that he loses track, and then he disregards people who are his friends. So this is a natural state. Many times we see in Srimad Bhagavatam and then other scriptures. So we see this, especially the people who have excessive strength or anything. So especially, let us see a person who has excessive opulence. He's Indra. So Indra, once he was in his court, and then everybody was saying, "Oh, all glories, hail Indra, hail Indra." So they were all saying, and then there are heavenly damsels who are dancing, and then his wife is very obedient. Everything is going fine. So Indra is so happy. But because of that excessive comfort zone. So he got intoxicated by his own people and then everything. So what happens? Intoxication sometimes leads to disregard. And then, so his spiritual master came in that assembly, Brihaspati. So, and then when spiritual master comes, so a person should come down from his high seat and then receive him properly. So, but he disregarded Brihaspati, and that led to his fall down. So Brihaspati didn't retaliate. He just left that quote. Okay, my disciple is not respecting me. He didn't even greet him. So he just left silently. But this is so subtle, it affected him. Immediately, his all luster gone down. And then all the brilliance, all his wisdom, everything has gone down. And then he understood what mistake he has committed. And then he ran out searching for Brihaspati. Where is Brihaspati? I thought of begging forgiveness. And then spiritual master is no more visible. Because the offense he committed is very grave, the disregard. So, and then after that, actually just because of that minor disregard, so an entire pastime unfolds of Rudrasura, how Indra commits offenses, and then a demon is born. The demon is a devotee. Almost 10 chapters in Srimad Bhagavatam. So how just because of that excessive some strength, so we get intoxicated, and because of that we disregard somebody. So Indra is one of the example. Okay, because of knowledge we may commit aparadh, we may disregard. And recently we saw another pastime. It's because of opulence one may commit aparadh, but because of even knowledge, knowledge is supposed to be elevating. It's in mode of goodness. It should help everybody. But because of excessive knowledge also, sometimes we commit mistakes. We get intoxicated. So we see recently Lord Brahma, he started trying to understand Lord Krishna's pastimes analytically and then start judging Lord Krishna. So he also overpowered by too much knowledge. And then he disregarded the position of Lord Krishna, and he started judging. And then basically he committed something which he's not supposed to do. And then after that, so a lot of repentance, atonement, and everything happened. A person can get intoxicated by knowledge. A person can get intoxicated by opulence. A person can get intoxicated by beauty also. He was very very handsome. So again, some chapters before we saw, so there are these two sons of Kubera, Nalakubar and Manigriv. So they are very handsome. Of course, their father is very wealthy, but they are also very handsome. And then they were just playing with girls in the lake. And when Narada, in a very inappropriate way. And when Narada Muni came, so again the same thing. So too much something, too much strength. So what happens? Because of that, we get intoxicated. And then because of that intoxication, we disregard people who are our own well-wishers. So when Narada Muni, who's supposed to be, everybody has to respect. So when he came, this Nalakubar and Manigriv didn't even pay respect. In fact, they were playing with some women, some girls, and they had the consciousness, okay, an exalted personality is coming, so we have to respect him, so we have to just, so they were, trying to be more respectful, but this Nalakubar and Manigriv were so much intoxicated, they didn't even respect him. So, and then after that, Narada Muni became compassionate, and then, yeah. So, yeah, sorry, this chat. And then, finally, we see there is a pastime of Gajendra. Gajendra is a mighty elephant, so intoxicated by people. So he was so much happy. He was like so many of his queens. Gajendra means the king of elephants. So he was having so many wives, and then his relatives, and then everybody. So he went to a place to like a resort. He wants to enjoy in the water. So he entered into that, and then he got intoxicated, and then so. But of course, there is no disregard there. But we will come to that. So when too much of opulence is there, sometimes we go into the intoxication stage. The same thing happened here with Kalia. So too much of strength, but that strength is Visha. Visha means poison. So here for our spiritual practices, anything that takes us away from our spiritual practices is poison. It is like killing our own spiritual identity. So anything that takes us away. So what takes us away? So we'll discuss in the next verses. Text 5. Tachutva kupito rajan Bhagavan Bhagavat Priyaha Vijighamsur Mahavega Kaliyam Samupadravat. Translation. O king, the greatly powerful Garuda, who is very dear to the Supreme Lord, became angry when he heard of this. Desiring to kill Kaliya, he rushed towards the serpent with tremendous speed. Purport. Srila Sanatan Goswami explains that the word Mahavega indicates that the great speed of Garuda cannot be checked by anyone. So we were talking about, okay, when we get intoxicated, so we disregard. Sometimes whom we disregard. This is the big problem. Okay, so here Kaliya was disregarding a person, Garuda. So, and here Garuda is addressed as, Bhagavan. So please, don't misunderstand. This is like sometimes very exalted devotees of the Lord are also addressed as Bhagavan. Generally, only Lord is addressed as Bhagavan, but occasionally, very, very exalted devotees in Srimad Bhagavatam are also addressed as Bhagavan. Yeah, because they have the divine qualities. So here Garuda is considered as Bhagavan, Bhagavat Priyaha. Again, he is dear to the Lord. So this is something very important. Like, so when we get intoxicated, sometimes we commit offenses towards the people who are very dear to the Lord. So we need to be very careful in our spiritual practices. What we are taking shelter of. Are we taking shelter of our strength, our wisdom, our scriptural study? Are we taking shelter of them? Or are we taking shelter of the holy names of the Lord? So this is always we need to maintain a check and balance. The more we practice, the more we are in spiritual life, the number of years. So, so we'll be given high regards. So that time, it's like the higher we go, the harder we fall. So we have to be very careful, because when we are committing some mistakes, who will give us the correction? Somebody who has that particular potency, who can guide us, so they will offer us correction. And then we should always be open, like the more when we are practicing spiritual, and we should always be open to feedback and everything. But the question is, when actually the feedback comes, will we be able to take it? So that is the point. So the higher we go, who can give us, especially the spiritual master? So so not everybody will be daring enough to give a feedback, because you are already a very big person. 20 years, 40 years you are practicing spiritual life, so you are a great person. But when spiritual master gives some feedback, so are we ready to hear? Are we ready to incorporate, take it in a light way? Because they are Bhagavat Priya. Spiritual master is one who is very close to the Lord. Bhagavat Priya means one who is very dear to the Lord. So, so this is always the case that, so when exalted people give us some insights, are we ready to take it in a positive way? So often it happens that we will not be able to take it easily, and then so that is a litmus test for our practice. So here, what happens if we don't take, if you offend the Bhagavat Priyas? I mean, if you are not in sync with the people who are, dear to the Lord. So we go away from them. We go away from them. So there is a very nice verse. Bhumos kalitapadanam bhumirevavalambanam nama jata paradhanam tameva sharanam prabhu. So suppose if somebody falls on the ground, so how he will get up? Ekeshwar Prabhu. Somebody falls on the ground, how he will get up?
Tries his best to get up, whatever is.
He will take support of. He will.
I don't.
He will take the support of the floor itself.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he'll not become angry with the floor, right? Yeah. So the thing is, like if we fall down on the ground, so again we take support of the ground to get up, right? So similarly, Nama Jata Paradhanam Tameva Sharanam. While chanting the holy names of the Lord, so there are offenses towards the holy name, but still we take the shelter of holy name to improve ourselves. So that is what is. And then with devotees also, sometimes devotees give us pain. So now it is going to come. So devotees give us some pain. So that does not mean that we run away from devotees. Where else we will go? If we go outside devotees, there is no hope at all. So within devotees only we stay in order to rectify our mistakes or improve ourselves. So here it is happening. Kaliya was committing a mistake towards Garuda, and now Garuda will kick him. Let us see. So we will read the next 3 verses. Text 6. Tamapatantam tarasa vishayuda pratyabhyayat uddhitanaikamastaka dadbih suparnam vyadasat tadayudu karala jihvocha vasitogralochana. As Garuda swiftly fell upon him, Kaliya, who had the weapon of poison, raised his numerous heads to counterattack. Showing his ferocious tongues and expanding his horrible eyes, Kaliya then bit Garuda with the weapons of his fangs. Purport. The Acharyas explain that Kaliya used his weapon of poison at a distance by spitting venom upon his enemy and at short range by biting him with his terrible fangs. Text 7. Tamtaksha putra sanirasya manyuman prachanda vego madhusudhanashana pakshena savyena hiranya rochisha jaghana kadru sutamugra vikrama. Translation. The angry son of Tarksha, so here Garuda, moved with overwhelming speed in repelling Kaliya's attack. The terribly powerful carrier of Lord Madhusudana struck the son of Kadru with his left wing, which shone like gold. In the final verse, Suparna Paksha Bhihata Kaliyotiva Vihvala Hridam Vivesha Kalindyas Tadagamayam Durasadam. Translation. Beaten by Garuda's wing, Kaliya was extremely distraught, and thus he took shelter of the lake adjoining the river Yamuna. Garuda could not enter this lake. Indeed, he could not even approach it. So this is what Garuda is, a Bhagavat Priya, means a great devotee of the Lord. And when a great devotee of the Lord is kicking Kaliya here, pushing with his wing, just like that. And in our life, we may not get a direct kick or a direct punch from a devotee, but we may get a chastisement or a correction. Sometimes, or an unfriendly dealing in our, as per our. Sometimes His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj says that a devotee says, Prabhu, I don't like the way you do, how you do this. So the differences can be as simple as, this, how do you adjust your nose? So sometimes, devotees, we don't gel with each other, or sometimes we get some tough. Now, Kaliya got a tough punch from a devotee. So when we get tough corrections from devotees, what happens? Now Kaliya, what he did? So he went to a place which is Durasadam. He went to a place where, Garuda cannot enter. So he ran away practically from the devotees. So nobody can enter. So he made a wall. And because of that, what happened? So there is no scope for him to deliver. So he went into a spiritual, abyss, completely, he could, no recovery only. So Lord has to come personally. And then, so of course, next few verses tell why Garuda could not enter. But the thing is, so we should be very careful that, of course, whenever there are these difficult situations when devotees give pain to us, so it's up to us, we should be, the next step, we should very thoughtfully consider whether we have to completely cut off from the devotees. So if we completely cut off from the devotees, Kaliya was maintaining his poison, and then he was still as envious as previous. So, but if we are with devotees, so then there is a hope for us that, so we will improve. And just one final point. In this text 8, so there is a word called Vihvala. Vihvala means overwhelmed. So this word comes in multiple places. In Shadgoswami Ashtakam, so the last verse, it is said, He Radhe Vraja Devike Chalalite, He Nanda Suno Kuta, Ghoshanta Viti Sarvato Vrajapure, Khedair Mahavihvalau. So Vihvala means, here the word Vihvala comes. Vihvala means we get overwhelmed. Oh, sometimes, we see the darshan of the Lord, or when some of our loved ones come after so many years. Oh, so we get so, overwhelmed. So there, Shad Goswamis, so they are getting overwhelmed in the separation of, in the mood of separation between Lord Krishna and them. So that is one stage of getting overwhelmed. That is the pure devotional circle. That's the highest platform. And then we were discussing about the pastime of Gajendra just a few minutes before. So Gajendra also was overwhelmed there. But when he was entering into a lake, a crocodile caught him, and then he was unable to overpower that crocodile. So he was being dragged into the water so much. So he got overwhelmed by the material distress, right? And then he could remember the Lord. And here, Kaliya also got overwhelmed. Kaliya got overwhelmed by the kicks of the pure devotee. There, in Gajendra's pastime, because of the crocodile, Gajendra got overwhelmed, but he could remember Lord Krishna, so he could make progress. But here, Kaliya, because of his so much envious attitude, even a devotee is beating him, so he is getting overwhelmed. But his enviousness nature is not yet purified, so he ran away from devotees. So that's why the same overwhelming mood, but sometimes it is completely on the pure transcendental platform. Sometimes it elevates us from material to transcendental platform. sometimes, we remain in the material platform and we get degraded. So it's very important for us which option we choose on this. It all depends on the association and then the pious credits what we do previously. Gajendra had a lot of pious credits, so that's why he could remember the Lord. So that's why he would get elevated. So thank you so much. Now it's 7:48. So we'll just summarize like what we have discussed today. So we saw how Visha Virya Mata. So when we have excessive strength which is not favorable for our spiritual life, so we get intoxicated, and because of that, kadarthi kritya means we disregard people. We forget who are our friends and then who are our who are not our friends. So we lose that knowledge, and then because of that we go down in our spiritual life, and then and then we should be very careful. Like in that particular ignorance, we may commit mistakes to the devotees of the Lord, who are very dear to the Lord, and then even if they are trying to help us by giving some sort of chastisement, it's so painful. Sometimes we run away from them. No more devotees, no more devotees. I'll run. So there is no hope for us if we run away. We saw the example of if we fall on the ground, we take shelter of the ground to stand up. Similarly, so and then finally we saw how Kalia got overwhelmed by this Garuda, and then he went to a lake where Garuda cannot enter. So this sort of overwhelming, it further degraded him in his spiritual life. Of course, so he further degraded even in the material life. So we saw the overwhelming nature, like when Goswamis, they were also getting overwhelmed because of Krishna Prema. And then Gajendra got overwhelmed because of the material pain, but because of his previous pious credits, so he could elevate himself. But Kalia, when he got overwhelmed by Garuda, so he further degraded himself. So these are some of the points. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. And Prabhu, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes,
You
I
can speak.
really enjoyed your class, and it's been said that an ego is more difficult to give up than sometimes material possessions, sensual, and you'll even find people who are spiritual that way. And in my personal experience, even in the spiritual world, I find people in leadership positions who usually have very big egos. And I wonder, what do you do about, like you said, about accepting criticism, which I agree. What about if the people who you feel have the egos are the people who are supposed to be above you, like senior devotees or temple leadership? What are you supposed to do then?
So
There's an answer for that. Is that a
yes.
left hook or right hook?
Can't hear.
Sorry. Yes.
It's an uppercut.
Uppercut. Yeah, uppercut. That's the short answer to Angel's question.
It's thank you, Prabhu, for the very. Of course, that's a very high subject matter, but so one thing is, we in our spiritual life have control only on our practices. There can be so many things around the world. We cannot handle everybody, and only that is Krishna. Only Krishna can do that. Of course, we try to do something. So first thing is, as a spiritual entity, we try to protect our spiritual practices. If something is affecting maybe our authorities, we are not able to handle some aspects of our authorities. So maybe there is a way out. So we kindly, for us, it is important that we humbly go and then check with them and then resolve it. And then if things are not getting resolved, we just leave it to Krishna, because the thing is like we should ensure that our spiritual practices are not getting troubled. There are so many things in especially in an institutionalized bhakti, so like ISKCON or Bhakti Center. I mean, like any institutionalized bhakti practices. So there are a lot of challenges. One thing we should understand is Krishna is in control. It's not that we are in control. So we try to do some things, but things happen, and then so we just leave it to Krishna. So it's not that we have to remain silent if you are in the position. So we can go and then we can do whatever is needed. But yeah, so that is what we can do. And then you said a point. When people are at high positions, they have ego. Why we have ego? Because we think we have strength, we have knowledge, we have beauty. When we think we have something, that itself is a big mistake, because whatever we have is just because of Lord. That's it. So nothing belongs to us. So here Kalia is thinking, I am good, I am great. That's why he's disregarding a great devotee. So that sort of I am great or I have something. So that arises from shallow spiritual practices. So once we deepen our spiritual practices, then we may overcome them. Somebody wants to add, Prabhu, you want to add something? Sorry.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful class. Some of the important points you made was that intoxication covers our ability to see things clearly. And intoxication comes in a variety of ways. We might be intoxicated by some kind of poisonous liquid or drug. We might be intoxicated by power. We might be intoxicated by fame or beauty or, youth. Even youth is an intoxication. And the thing about intoxication is it does cover us, our ability to see things clearly, and it wears off. So, and Angel's asking about if someone is acting inappropriately in a leadership position because of some kind of intoxication. We appreciate that person's endeavor to serve Krishna. That's what we see. Not easy, right? To be a parent. It's not easy to be a teacher. It's not easy to be an official in the government. And on our position, if we see somebody doing something inappropriately, we think maybe we're not seeing properly. Maybe it's our intoxication. So we wish them well. And it says that Krishna, like Prabhu was saying, ultimately Krishna is there in every situation. And if we desire to have someone worthy of our complete obedience and trust, then Krishna will send us that quality of a caretaker, right? If we want somebody who's capable of constructing us and caring for us properly, then Krishna will provide that. And if we want somebody who we can find some fault with so that we have an excuse not to be obedient, then Krishna will provide that. So ultimately, we have a responsibility to desire carefully, and then Krishna will reciprocate with that. But we wish well for anybody trying to serve Krishna and try to support them. And whatever criticism might come to us, we think this is not coming from this person. This is coming from Krishna. And so how can I see a way to become a better devotee by hearing the correction? Anyway, just a few comments on that subject. All glories to Prabhupada.
Thank you.
There's a theological question from Jeffrey Eckler Prabhu.
Oh, okay.
Jeffrey Eckler Prabhu, would you like to read your question?
Krishna Daya Prabhu, when we read in the story of Krishna and Brahma, Krishna was holding his food in his left hand, and it was important then. And so when we read about Garuda attacking Kriya with his left wing, Is there importance to that?
Very nice observation, Prabhu. I sorry, I did not highlight that. So Garuda just kicked Kalia with his left wing. So I was hearing His Grace Dravida Prabhu. So it's like you are very insignificant. So he just used the left wing just to show that you are
So
very
he's not using his strong arm or anything. It's just
yeah.
not a big challenge for
Not a big
Garuda.
So,
Thank you, Prabhu.
energy is very, very inferior compared to Garuda. So that's what Dravida Prabhu was telling. So yeah, sorry.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Maybe Bhima Prabhu's hand is raised.
Haribol, Krishna, Daya, wonderful. I love your classes. They're nicely paced, and we can digest, what you're saying step by step. Taking it back to the previous question, which I believe is very important, because elements of the movement was very much disturbed by people in position of power, who, because as you said, the higher they are, the harder they fall. Because they fell, a lot of people were estranged and alienated. Can I be heard okay?
Yes, Prabhu.
Can I be heard okay? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So a lot of devotees, very sincere devotees, were estranged and alienated by the ego, which will come on. When Maya comes on strong, like Garuda, will come on strong to those who are high up. And ego is the first fall. The I am the doer, ahankara, is the first fall we make in coming to this world. So when somebody gets high up, sometimes they start to think it's my intelligence, it's my wisdom, it's my, and therefore they don't even see it. That's the first trick of Maya, is that she makes us blind, ignorant to exactly what we're doing wrong. We might have no idea what we're doing wrong. And this is what I say to Prabhu there, Angel, and that is, whenever faced with something like that, we first have to develop love for that person. That person has been given a great responsibility to be a shepherd and over his flock, and so hopefully to step in the way of wolves, etc. But long story short is that a word to the wise, somebody does not become into a position of superiority, whether it is a temple president or a bhakti leader or a guru, without having wisdom. You just don't climb without having some kind of wisdom. So the saying is a word to the wise. So if you feel like somebody's acting in a certain way, first develop love for that person. Say, just forgive them. Then write a little note, anonymous, and just slip it under the door. Maybe write it on a computer so you're handwriting, and it works wonders. Just a little note, Prabhu, blah, 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 and then then Krishna will do his work, because Krishna in the heart will say, see, I'm trying to tell you something here. You're not hearing it from within. You're too loud listening to yourself. So just a word to the wise is sufficient. Do it anonymously and do it with love. This is a practical application of how a so-called inferior devotee can help a superior devotee. So that's all I have to say. I've been affected personally in my life by situations like this, and I'm sure that hundreds, if not thousands, of devotees have been affected by a situation like that. And the thing is that we should reach out and help that person, help that captain, help that general on the battlefield by saying, hey, your helmet's sticking up above the ditch here, and it's going to get picked off, so you help them out. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu, for your wonderful realizations. Maybe just half a minute. Preeti Chaturvedi Mataji has her hand raised. You want to say something, Mataji?
Who is that?
Preeti Chaturvedi Mataji, is she there? Yeah. So she down her hand. Yeah.
Took her hand down.
Yeah. You want to say something?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somebody were taking shelter has a problem, we can always choose to take shelter of somebody else who is qualified. Some people use that as an excuse to go away from Krishna consciousness, and some people move on by jumping into a qualified person's shelter. Or go to Prabhupada.
Thank you.
Krishna Daya Prabhu, great class. And great rendition of a drunk person. Can you show it again? Can you show us a drunk person again?
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Okay.
Oh, you're going to use it over there?
Yeah, I think just. Yeah, वो सामने कर रहे लोग stop and stop.
Hey, what a wonderful class by Krishna Daya Prabhu. And he's such a wonderful devotee. He's so serene, so sweet and sincere. And nice tip from Bhima Prabhu. And we cut out letters from a newspaper, Bhima Prabhu, to keep it anonymous. Okay. All right. All right. So happy Monday, everybody. Don't get intoxicated or overwhelmed by what Krishna is sending our way. We'll live to be corrected. So take corrections gratefully. And one devotee was saying, is that all sauce you're going to give me? Give me more. I deserve more. We know we deserve more. So that's the attitude that's that a devotee has. Okay, have a wonderful day. Come again tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hare Krishna.